You are now tuned into the Sixth Man Podcast, brought to you by OXP Media. OXP Media can be found on Megaphone, Spotify, of course, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, and Amazon. Now you can find the Mike Roach podcast there, the First and 10 podcast. All of your listening needs are there for OXP Media and, of course, our podcast, respectively. I'm your host, Brandon Graham, alongside another co-host, Mike Roach. You can find him on Twitter at Mike_Roach_ and Mike Roach7 on Instagram. Is that right?
Correct.
See, I'm on this. Make sure
I don't know how you remember those.
Hey, I'm a big supporter, big listener of the Mike Roach podcast, of course, even though your artwork needs to change very soon. I think whoever made that made your lips look like a gremlin, but it's all good, man. Hey, you're doing your thing.
Better than that trash you got for the First and 10.
Hey, the First and 10 podcast.
I don't even know what the hell I'm looking at. Were you going to a wedding in that suit or something?
Yeah, I was going to the wedding, but it was a great wedding. It was a great
football
picture
game
too,
in a suit.
It is what it is. Hey, I could talk about your pictures online as well too, where you're taking pictures like this.
Go ahead,
and whatnot.
Go ahead.
Listen, there's one picture you have where you put your daily tips up, where you have a smile, and you're like, it just look like one of those guys in the eye stalk. I'm like, I know Mike Roach, man. This guy's a savage. This guy does not look.
Well, listen, BG. One day when you become a big boy, you'll step your IG game up like mine. Okay.
Hey, listen, my IG game is already up naturally, but of course,
your ass ain't posted since 2020.
It's going to be up there very, very soon, but I do it on different areas. But hey, this guy shot low. But you know what? What I'm going to do? I'm going to do similar stuff that you were doing, obviously. We'll hopefully
of course
see
you are.
This. But this is the Six-Man Podcast. Mike Roach, of course, still needs a haircut, but it's fine. We're all here. We're having a good time.
Seriously though, how come you don't get a haircut? Like, what is that?
I get a haircut all the time. This is just a trim. You can see the sides.
What's up with the top and the side? What's going on there?
Hey, this is called swagger, my friend.
Tell me the truth. Is Stevie Wonder cutting your hair? What's going on at the sides over there?
Listen, my haircut is pristine. Of course,
how much
your wife's gonna love you. Oh, $20, man. Of course, I know my people. I got $20.
No wonder your haircut looks like that.
How much you pay for yours?
You
40?
told me you were paying $50 back in the day.
That's back in the day, man. It's dropped down because I've been loyal. It's back down to around 40 or that's 40. It's $40. I lied.
40's around the regular.
Yeah,
40's around the average right now.
I missed when
it's actually gone up. 20. It's gone up since COVID. So like it used to be a little bit cheaper.
Yeah, these guys are being reckless out here. I got to talk to these barbers, these waste. Anyways, I'm not going to get into that. Shout out to Blurry Barbershop. But anyways, we need to get into this, man. A lot of basketball going on, a lot of stuff going on in the basketball world. And yourself as a Toronto Raptors broadcast assistant have seen a lot. See your post, obviously, in the Scotiabank Arena, documenting pregame, so on and so forth.
So empty-ass arena in there.
Yeah, hopefully, hopefully fans are coming back soon. I know they're starting with 500. Because the team does need that juice, right? They need that juice. Would you not admit?
Yeah. It's always nice to have support and people cheering you on when you're actually in there. Like, it's kind of weird because when you're in there, like they're still playing the automated, like on the sound in the arena.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's still very strange, very weird. I don't know, man. It's just weird. I can't wait till it's over. I want to have people back in that building.
Yeah, you need people back in that building, man. Of course, this guy's with the Raptor. But hey, the Raptors are 23-23, sitting at 509th in the Eastern Conference at this moment. They lost 6 of their last 9 games. Okay, and then of course they're traveling to Miami. They do have really tough games coming up on the slate going forward into the All-Star break. But just want to get your impressions of the ejection that we saw from Gary Trent Jr. last game, where he had 32 points, played very well, was very balanced offensively and defensively as well too. With him going out, of course, and dropping that game to a team that's without Alex Caruso and Lonzo Ball, where their net is so much more increased when they're in the lineup, and when they're not, it decreases. What was your takeaway of that game and your assessment of the team so far?
Well, the takeaway from that game is it was a tough fought game from both teams. Unfortunately, with the ejection from Gary Trent Jr., it changed the trajectory because he was your best scorer in that game. And had he been in that game, the outcome could possibly be different, right? So, I mean, I think it was a weak call from the official. Now, was it warranted? Possibly. I mean, he's clapping in his face saying an and one, which it looked like it was an and one, by the way. But, I mean, something that you can call with a guy 2 minutes left in the game, I mean, that's pretty iffy. Like that happens a lot during games, and a lot of the time a ref lets that slide. You know what I
Right.
mean? Now, obviously, different officials make different calls, but that's just some thin skin right there.
Very,
That's
very
just some thin
soft.
skin right there.
And I believe the ref didn't realize that GTJ actually had a tech beforehand because he got mixed up with Nick Vucevic, right? Vucevic obviously hit that game, like pretty much the game sealer, with the 40 seconds left, and but it was a sloppy game from both sides of the ball. So DeRozan obviously gets where he wanted to, but the defensively, you have to be impressed with what the Raptors were doing, right? How active they were, right?
Yeah, I think, and I've mentioned this a few times. To me, the Raptors' problem is still their offense. Their offense is predicated too much on going one-on-one ISO ball. You got to find a way to play better away from the basket. Away from the ball, because you need off-ball screens, you need cutters, slashers. You got to find ways to get easier baskets instead of just getting the ball, going deep down into the shot clock, and then go one-on-one. You don't have the players for that. You don't have the personnel for that. So you got to play more along the lines of Golden State, where, Golden State does shoot a lot of threes and they have the personnel to do that. But they also find guys slashing to the basket. They also get to the free throw line. They're also finding guys going backdoor. Like they make the extra pass often.
Mm-hmm.
And so instead of just relying on, okay, we're getting deep into the shot clock now, let's try something one-on-one. They find other ways to score, and that's exactly what the Raptors have to do as well.
And the Raptors did that really well in 2019 when they're swinging the ball really well. And there's one quote that I heard from Draymond Green in the JJ Redick podcast where he said when Steve Kerr came to the Golden State Warriors, he's kind of harped on them and be like, swing the ball. And they didn't understand it because they're like, oh, Clay's going to get the ball or Steph's going to get the ball eventually. But when they swung the ball, and he asked Steve Kerr, like, why are we doing this? He said, and Steve Kerr responded like, the ball will find the guy that needs to get the ball. Like, it's whether you swing the ball and then you get it around the perimeter, of course, it's going to find the score. It's going to get to the Stephs. It's going to get to the Clays. And that's the reason why they're successful, right? Because it finds their scores.
And it's funny that you say that, because I've mentioned in my podcast a few times, the Raptors are not a good passing team.
No.
They're not a good passing team, man. Like, there's so many guys where Pascal or he's the main culprit, by the way, who just looks guys blatantly off on the perimeter. Like, Fred could be wide open, Boucher can be wide open, and I wouldn't say so much Fred, but there are players who are wide open on the perimeter
that he doesn't give the ball to,
and he just doesn't give the ball to them. And it's like, how could you not see them? They're standing right there, with their hands in the air for an open jump shot.
I was just gonna say, like, even on transition, I think Pascal it happens so much, and especially this year, he's in transition. He's the worst passer in transition on a fast break, because he doesn't look to, like, guys can be wide open on a 2-on-1. He's still gonna go up himself and get blocked or something, right? And it's really frustrating to watch. But Pascal and Fred are averaging 21 points each, and they're pretty much your number one contributors alongside Gary Trent Jr., right? So you need another scorer in a sense. And I wanted to bring you to, because of course OG Anunoby was supposed to be that guy plugged in to be that third, contributor offensively, and of course on the defensive end as well too. Do you think we've seen OG Anunoby? Go ahead.
No, I just, before you get to OG, and we're not saying that Raptors offense is terrible because of what those things that Pascal does. We're just saying he could become more of a playmaker. And if he becomes more of a playmaker, then everybody's going to be more effective. But carry on, OG.
I was just going to say, because we had the rumors with OG Anunoby being involved with the Miles Turner rumor, and now he's, at most he's scoring around 18. And of course, he had a good game, 24, not too long ago, of course, he played really well against Charlotte eventually. I think we were at that game. But do you think we've seen OG's ceiling? And do you think it's a time where Masai and Scott, and of course, the front office needs to look at probably dealing him? Like, or are you still I know he's only 20, 23, 24. Of course, he's still growing. But do you think we've seen a ceiling from him?
I don't think we've seen his ceiling yet, because there are some areas in his game that could still be improved. I like his jump shot. I like his defense. He's a nice 3-and-D player. Mm-hmm. But what can his playmaking become? What can his ball handling become? those are the things that I'm interested in. His ball handling is still not great. And to me, I want to see him become a better ball handler in the open court, going up and down in transition,
Right.
because I think he struggles there.
Really
In the
does.
half court set, I think he needs to be better one-on-one, 1 to 2 moves getting to the basket. He's not bad.
Mhm.
But if he can improve that, like, let me ask you this. If you're at the end of the game, right? Let's
Mhm.
say the Raptors are down by 1 and it's a 1-4 situation.
Mhm.
OG has the ball at the top or foul line extended, right?
Mhm.
And they're going one-on-one. How much do you trust OG with the ball in that situation? Not, and I'm not saying that just for a win or whatever, but are you confident that he even gets up a good shot?
No, I'm not confident because he tends to use his body a lot to get deep in the post, or of course he has a step back here and there, but he needs to get that ball off of off a dish, for instance, like someone driving into the lane, of course dishes to him, and then he can get a shot off or do his 1-2 move to get a shot off too. But no, I'm not confident with him being able to create off the dribble and put up a shot. I'm more confident in Gary Trent Jr. I'm even more confident in a Scotty Barnes, to be honest. I don't know if I can say that right now. Pascal Siakam, Fred VanVleet, Gary Trent Jr. OG has to be that guy, and he's not someone that I rely on to get a shot off. You've seen every big shot that he makes has been off of a dish or him getting deep in the post because he can actually use his body to his advantage, but he hasn't developed his handle to the level that you would want him to get at. And that's the reason why I asked if his ceiling has obviously been met, because all of these years now, you're hoping that he's going to take the next leap, be that guy that can even surpass a Pascal Siakam, for instance. It's going to be hard because he's not as tall as Pascal, but with his body type, I think he'd do a lot more, and I don't think he's shown that this year. I think it's been quite a disappointment, to be honest with you, in the last 10, 15 games.
Well, I mean, he looks good though. Like
Yeah,
he's
no, of
playing well. He's playing well.
course.
Um, I don't think we'll see him any better than we're seeing him right now. I
Okay.
mean, what more do you think you can expect from OG this season?
I just want him to be a guy that you can count on to get a bucket and to get you, like, to be in the 21 range. It's going to be hard because there's a lot of guys that need to get the ball, but at least averaging close to 18, right? Being able to be relied upon to get a bucket, because really what happens in late game situations, you're going to a Fred VanVleet, you're going to Pascal Siakam. They're not looking OG's way, and he should be that decoy in a sense, or even a guy that can spot up and hit a shot. But he just comes in and out, and he's really good, but he's not that. He hasn't taken that extra step, and I'm looking for that to happen. That's why I ask if Miles Turner is a guy you want to get for him, because you're going to get instant production for him. You can count on him in late game situations. He can do multiple things. Obviously, I'm not to take anything away from OG Anunoby. I'm a very big fan of just his game in general, but I just need to see more because I think his potential is so much more than what he's showcasing right now. Like,
I think it's an
go ahead.
interesting deal if you're looking
Right.
at Miles Turner, considering what he can do. He's one of the is he the league's best shot blocker? I think
He is league's best. Yeah, he is. He's injured right
league's
now.
best shot
But
blocker, and he has a
yeah,
foot injury, right?
he has a foot injury. He's out.
Can shoot it
Yeah.
from the outside, which we know Bobby Webster loves.
Right. Exactly.
He's physical, can use his body. It's interesting. Not sure I would do it.
Right.
But it is interesting. I think it's something that you should look at.
Mm-hmm.
Now, pulling the trigger is a different story, but is it something that you can explore? I think it's possibly something the Raptors can explore.
Definitely. It's something I just realized. OG Anunoby's averages for the year are better than Andrew Wiggins. He's averaging 18, 5, and 2, whereas Andrew Wiggins is averaging 18, 4, and 2. So that's interesting in itself. But Andrew Wiggins is just in a better spot, more exposure, being in the Golden State, and he's getting the shot. He's just doing what he can. Wow. Once again, OG is averaging 18, but I want to see more. I think he's so much more capable. Anyways, speaking of, I'm going to get back to the Raptors in a second, but speaking of Andrew Wiggins, for instance, I have always, and I'm going to speak my stuff right now, because I've always been on the Andrew Wiggins train since he's gone in the league. I said, if you put him in the right situation, I remember him back in Huntington Prep or even Vaughan High School back in Ontario. Then it's seeing him on the Cavaliers, seeing him in the Minnesota Timberwolves, and seeing like this guy can definitely unlock a potential, but he always had a coach that probably wants to play through a Karl Anthony Towns or a different player in general. He's getting the shot right now in Golden State because they move the ball very well. He can get his open shots. They have guys in that team. Of course, you have Poole, you have Clayback, Steph. The list goes on and on. But he's getting the shots up. He's playing the best of his career, and it's complimentary basketball. Mm. He's an all-star starter right now. With that being said, do you think that this is a team that, with him in place, can win the championship right now, or are they your favorites to win?
They are for me personally. I just believe they have what it takes on both ends of the floor.
Right.
So Andrew Wiggins is a big part of that. Obviously, he's playing really well on defense too.
Right.
Offensively, I like Andrew Wiggins, especially because he doesn't try to force things. He just kind of takes what the defense gives him. Right. Mm-hmm. His shooting is good. He's a slasher as well. He can pull up off the dribble at mid-range, which I like, and he can guard multiple different positions on the floor. And obviously, everybody is seeing that with him now playing in Golden State. It's not like he was not doing this before in Minnesota. Like he was still balling in Minnesota.
Of course,
yeah, he really was. It's just because the team sucked, and right. and we weren't really watching him.
Yeah,
but I mean, he's figured it out. He's effective. But I mean, let's be honest here. He was balling for a long time.
He has that Penny Hardaway, pretty much that spin, step back. He's a guy, once again, he's talked about OG Anunoby. He creates his shot off the dribble with ease if he really wants to.
Yeah. But I'll say this. Yes. And you're absolutely right about that. And we've been seeing that for a long time, but here's the difference though. In Golden State, with what he's doing now, this is all that people are looking for from Andrew Wiggins when playing in Golden State. When you have a Jordan Poole, Draymond Green, a nice young player in Kuminga, when you have a Klay Thompson who's back in your lineup, when you have a Steph Curry who's one of the leaders for MVP, that's it, right? And this is what you expect from a guy like Andrew Wiggins. When you have all those pieces, not only that, you're talking about experienced pieces who have championship pedigree, who have won 3, okay? But here's the flip side. When he was in Minnesota, when you don't have all those pieces, now we're asking you to up your game. We don't want to see 18. We don't want to see 19. With what you're capable of, with your flying ability, with your ability to put the ball in the basket, with your athletic ability, being able to guard multiple positions, we don't want 18 and 19. We want 27. We want 28. We want 29. We want a 30 piece from you every night. So when you're saying Andrew Wiggins is balling, yeah, he was balling. But when you're playing with only Karl Anthony Towns and 1 or 2 other young guys at the time, we're looking for you to do more. And I think that's what the difference is between playing in Golden State and playing in Minnesota. When you're playing in Golden State, you're good for your 20. But when you're playing with Karl Anthony Towns over in Minnesota, we need 30.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I think that's what they were looking for on a consistent basis. And they weren't getting it. So it's not like he was still balling, but he wasn't, looked at as that guy.
That pedigree. And you're seeing it kind of right now from Anthony Edwards, where they're demanding the 30 every single night.
That's what they were looking for from Wiggins.
Right. And
right?
Anthony Edwards actually producing. He's producing it, though. He's actually going out there and doing his thing.
And that's what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
That's why we're talking about Anthony Edwards different than we're talking about Wiggins, because I'm glad you brought that up, because it's a great point.
Mm-hmm.
What you're seeing from Anthony Edwards is what they wanted from Andrew Wiggins.
Facts. You want to be a superstar. You have to be a superstar. And of course, that comes with a mental as well, too. And you can see in a lot of Anthony Edwards, interviews and the way he carries himself, he knows he knows he's a superstar. Like, he carries himself like that. And it's different with Andrew Wiggins, a little more, reserved, so on and so forth. So it comes down to a lot of, what you had and how you grew up. And one thing that I've noticed, and this is in every sport, it can be professional football, it can be basketball, baseball. A lot of these guys that were probably overlooked when they were younger end up and had to battle through adversity, they're the ones that are the dogs. They're the ones that become the stars, so on and so forth, with the exception of LeBron. But you're seeing it with Anthony Edwards, who wasn't really highly touted out of high school and number one pick. You're seeing it with Jonathan Kuminga, too. That wasn't number one guy, but he's obviously, showing up. Fred VanVleet, perfect example.
He's going to be very good.
He's just he's physically gifted. That team is just stacked with assets to go on. But anyways, to move on from there, the Miami Heat are number one with 32-17 in the East. You got the Chicago Bulls, the Cleveland Cavaliers are number 3 in the East at 30-19. My goodness.
Wow.
All right. Darius Garland, Evan Mobley. That team is just playing lights out, and it's a surprise. I know it's a surprise to
everyone. They got players over there, though.
They got some guys, but it's still, and without Colin Sexton, right? They're doing it with Okuri out of Auburn. He's playing really well as well, too. But the Miami Heat are so balanced. And, of course, the Raptors have to play the Miami Heat tonight. Coming up. I don't want to time the podcast at all, but they had to play them multiple times to get to where they want to be. But they always tend to stay in these games. But with Fred VanVleet out with knee soreness, do you believe that because he's leading the league in minutes, right? The minutes he has is over 40 minutes.
Yep.
Right? Do you believe that's a product of him playing all these minutes and the team not necessarily having the assets or the bench players to be able to produce as well, to limit those minutes?
Well, I think it's a bit of both. The thing is, if you're Nick Nurse, you're in a bit of a tricky situation because you're trying to make the playoffs. Fred VanVleet is your best player, one of your best players. If you're looking at him and Pascal, you don't play him, you're in trouble. Mm-hmm. And you can sink very, very, very fast here, especially when your teams are so tight. We had mentioned right before the podcast that when you're looking at the Atlanta Hawks, and who's the team had the Raptors? Is it Washington?
Right now, no, it's the Boston Celtics. Boston Celtics are they're at 25-25, so they're 500. So they're 2 games out of the playoffs.
Right. So we're looking at what, five teams that are separated by about 2 games or something like that.
Pretty much 5 games. Yeah.
Pretty much.
Five teams. Yeah.
5 teams in 2 games. I mean, that's a dog race. It's really rough. Like, you need every single game you can get. And the thing that makes it even tougher is now you're going up a half game with a win or a loss or whatnot. But because there are so many teams, like these 5 teams all in your conference that you're battling with, whenever you're going up against them, now they're full games.
Yes.
You're going up half game, they're going down half game. That's between the Knicks, that's between Washington, that's between Boston. So, I mean,
Atlanta.
If you're Nick Nurse, you do want to find some type of bench. Now, Malachi Flynn, obviously, there's been some problems. His dad did mention that Nick Nurse treats him worse than a canine.
A dog.
I
thought that was hilarious, but
I think that's ridiculous to say.
He probably does, man. He literally told him that he's bad at basketball. That's what the dad said.
He did not.
What do you mean? There's reports. It's from the dad.
Okay, like he told Malachi Flynn he's bad at basketball.
He's like, you're not playing because you're not good right now. You're just not good at basketball. That's apparently what the dad says.
Okay, so then he's not good right now. So there's context. He didn't just be like, hey, Malachi, get over here. Yeah, I'm not putting you in. You're bad at hoops.
He suck. Sit on the bench.
Yeah,
no.
That's just not gonna happen. Like, there has to be some kind of context to this, and we don't know what it is. Right. So obviously Malachi has been struggling in a 905 as well. But the other day in Chicago, he didn't look too bad from being in the game for, I think he played like 8 or 9 minutes or something like that.
Minutes. Charlotte, he played well as well too. Yeah.
Delano Banton is a guy as well who's getting more time off the bench. He's playing really well in the G League. We spoke about a few guys on my podcast yesterday with myself and sideline reporter for the 905, Savannah Hamilton. And for anybody who's listening to this, go listen to the Mike Roach podcast with Savannah Hamilton. She does a fantastic job breaking down Delano Banton, Malachi Flynn, Reggie Perry, and Isaac Bonga. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Kudos to her because she did a great job, and she also broke down why Patrick Mutombo is being such an effective coach, right? So it's a good.
This guy's an artist. Like,
yeah, legit. He is a legit artist
talented
too.
Yeah.
But overall, there is going to be there is a need for guys to come off the bench for this roster because obviously a guy like Fred VanVleet is not used to playing this many minutes, especially when you have a guy like Kyle Lowry who's been next to you for so many years. But I mean, Fred is not complaining. Fred's a baller. He understands what this is. Could he be an all-star? We hope so. I don't think it's going to happen just because I think people, anyway, I won't even get into that right now, but
yeah.
But Fred is a hooper. He's never gonna, go away from the challenge of playing a bulk of minutes. That's just the way he's wired, right? He almost has that Larry built-in attitude kind of into him after all these years with him being his predecessor. So at this point, we're just going to have to wait and see what happens when it comes to Nick Nurse and the bench. Obviously, it looks like he's getting the message that he's going to have to start playing some other guys because guys are going to be starting to get tired. And this isn't the Eastern Conference of old, right? This is a new Eastern Conference. From game to game in the Eastern Conference, it's competitive.
It's a dogfight,
competitive. So,
you're right.
I mean, let's see what happens against Miami. And then after Miami, you got Atlanta. And then you got the same three teams again.
Again. It's the toughest stretch of the year.
Yeah. And then you're going on the road for a minute.
Yeah, you're on the road for a while. So you got to get production.
Break, but you got a lot of games on the road.
Yeah. It's surprised that Indiana Pacers are pretty much at 12th in the East right now. New York Knicks and then Atlanta, they're all fluctuating. New York Knicks were in the playoffs and now they're down there.
What's the Indiana Pacers record?
Right now they're 18-32. My goodness, they're 18-32. Yeah, so they need to start winning very soon, and that's going to be. And of course, the Knicks are 23-27, just 2 games below the Raptors. So that's going to be a dogfight. And
they seem like they're one of the teams who are going to be very, very active at the deadline.
Yes, they will be. With Cam Reddish now, involved with that entire team and seeing Cam and RJ Barrett, college teammates, now playing together, fighting for that number one kind of spot in that team as well too. So that's going to be interesting. Washington, Kyle Kuzma.
Well, okay, because you brought that up. What do you think about this? What do you think about? Because Kemba Walker is pretty much out of their rotation again.
Again, ridiculous. It's wild to see his career. Yeah, sorry.
What do you think about Kemba Walker and a few others going to the Lakers for Westbrook?
Westbrook had a great game against the Charlotte Hornets. Charlotte doesn't play the defense. That's one thing. And MJ walked off. I don't think Kemba Walker is much of an upgrade over Russell Westbrook right now. Of course, of all the flack that Russell gets, his numbers are not even close to what Russell Westbrook is producing right now from a rebounding standpoint or a assist standpoint. So I don't think that's something that you want to do, especially if you're the Lakers. I don't think LeBron would want that to happen. I think more so if Damian Lillard was healthy, that would be the move they would look for. And that was the move. But of course, Damian's too married to the loyalty and whatnot. So he's going to be a loser for the rest of his career and until he kind of gives that up. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. I don't like that trade at all for the Knicks at all.
I mean, me either. I don't like it either. I'm just wondering though, okay, the Knicks aren't doing well compared to what we saw last season. Neither are the Lakers. Kemba Walker is completely, you're paying the guy. He's fallen right out of your rotation.
Exiled.
I don't like the trade. I was just kind of curious to see what people thought of that switch because Kemba Walker would hoop in LA.
Oh,
I'm telling you that now.
He would go off. And you know what kind of trade I would like for Kemba Walker? Him going to Utah for Mike Conley. I think that can be an upgrade for Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert. I think that team could be really good if Kemba was in that system. But
really, you don't like Mike Conley in Utah?
Mike Conley's been quiet. He's been quiet, but I don't know if they can take the next step with Mike. They probably can, but I don't know if they can take it with him right now. But anyways, we gotta get into another segment right now. There's a lot of things we can discuss. We can go on forever. Of course, it's great talking to you, Mike. I wanted to ask you, have you watched OZARK as of yet?
I have watched only the first 3 episodes.
The first 3 episodes. Okay, you need to finish that because that's nuts.
I'm dying because this show doesn't beat around the bush, does it?
No,
they just get right into it. They're not playing around.
And it gets quicker and gets quicker. So there's 7 episodes for season 3.
One, right?
part 1, and then of course we got the 7 coming up really, really soon. So you need to finish that because we need to discuss that. If you watch OZARK, you can drop a comment. We'll put this on Instagram, put this on YouTube. I'll put this everywhere so you can comment on it. Great show.
So,
you can obviously give us.
So my wife and I were watching it last night, and I was saying, like, I've watched Breaking Bad. Breaking Bad's here.
Oh, come on.
OZARK.
Whoa.
I think OZARK's here.
OZARK takes the cake over one of the best gross movies, shows of all time. Wow.
Like, OZARK is the truth.
OZARK, I love OZARK. I just like Breaking Bad was just like, it was so hyped and it's so revered for so long. I don't know if it's, I like OZARK more than Breaking Bad, but I think it's more of like a prisoner of the moment kind of thing right now. I think that's what
because Breaking Bad was crazy,
tough. But OZARK, Marty Bird, you can trust him. Marty Bird is better under pressure than half of these professional athletes.
But I'm calling this right now. There's going to be a spinoff of OZARK.
Oh, 100%.
There's going to be a spinoff with the Sun. I can see that happening right now.
I can see it happening with Ruth. You gotta watch. You know what? We gotta stop that. You need to watch this. Ruth, the girl that looks like Justin Bieber back in the day.
You know what?
I
can see a spinoff with both of them.
Yes.
With her and the Sun.
Right.
Now I haven't seen all the episodes, so I don't know if the Sun is dead yet or if he's still alive.
I'm not gonna say.
I gotta see. I gotta check this out. I'm gonna try and get through all 4 of these. The rest of 4 episodes tonight.
Well, let's do this next week so we can talk about that most importantly. All right.
Perfect. Okay.
Perfect. So this is the 6-Man Podcast brought to you by OXP Media. I'm your host, Brandon Graham, alongside Mike Roach. You can find Mike Roach at Mike_Roach_ on Twitter. Mike Roach 7 on Instagram. You can find me at Graham_JB on Twitter. And of course, G_JB on Instagram. Go ahead. One
thing before we get out of here. Kyle Lowry is supposed to be in Toronto next week with no crowd. There's no way he's going to play, right? There's just no way.
I wanted to bring it up during the show because, of course, I'm going to pray for his family. They're going through personal things. Is they're still going through?
Are they? Oh, I didn't
still, yeah. So pray for the family. Don't know if he's suiting up today. I think they're still probably being held out because remember his conditioning. He's missed about 5 games as of right now.
Mm-hmm.
Vincent's playing really well. That team, I think the Miami Heat are the most balanced team in the East.
So do I. I think they're solid. I think they can. I think they can come out the East if everybody's healthy. I think they can come out the East. I really do.
Don't sleep on the Bucks and don't sleep on Brooklyn when they get KD back. So
Brooklyn is a team that I have going. I'm not sure. I mean, the Bucks I like, but I think without Brook Lopez, I think that's a big loss.
Yes, it's huge. You got to rely on the eyes. Oh my gosh, you got to rely on him. He's getting into Pascal Siakam. You know what I'm talking about? The eyes. Yeah. So you have to rely on him a lot more. But hey, this is the 6-Man Podcast. Mike, it's always great talking to you. We're going to get into this again very, very soon. And, of course, hopefully we can even have a guest on at some point or even ask some questions.
Yeah, that's true. We should have a guest on. Maybe next episode.
Yeah, let's have a guest on for sure. I have a few people in mind that we can definitely get. This is the 6-Man Podcast brought to you by OXP Media. Keep balling.